The ACC is an absolute unmitigated mess, and I have no idea who's going to emerge from the heap. We better assemble the squad to figure it out.
You're talking ball with the ACC squad. From Florida State to North Carolina, from Syracuse to Miami, and from NC State to California, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming ACC weekend. Hang on, it could get loud, it could get heated, and it will definitely be fun. Squad up, you're part of the ACC squad.
Hey there, what's up? It's Thursday, November 13th, 2025. Welcome into this week's episode of the ACC Squad Show. And where we're trying to figure out if we should send anyone to the CFP or not. I think we would all answer equivocally. The answer is no. Maybe we should just look ahead to baseball season or something like that. Joining me on the show today from Locked On Syracuse, Mr. Jackson Holzer. From Locked On FSU Seminoles, Mr. Brian Smith. From Locked On Blue Devils, JJ Jackson. And half of the hosts of Locked On Wolfpack, Mr. Grayson Boone. I'm your host today, Isaac Shade, host of Locked On Tar Heels. You're joining us at the place to get your ACC content every single day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which, fellas, now the #1 sports podcast network in the entire galaxy. Yes, that's right. The entire galaxy. We're #1. Special shout out to all you everydayers who have joined us. Great to be with you. Here's where we're headed on the show today. The ACC is a mess, but somebody's going to come out of this thing and head off to the CFP. Who on earth is it going to be? Could be JJ's Blue Devils. Then we'll look ahead to this week's slate where we've got 5 one-loss teams. Is there any hope for the 2 loss teams remaining? And then also we got to look on the hardwood where there are a slew of insanely talented freshmen already making an impact on the ACC. In fact, this week's ACC co-players of the week are both freshmen. Fellas, what on earth are we supposed to make of our conference? Virginia loses at home to Wake. Louisville loses at home to Cal. Duke loses at UConn. Clemson beats Florida State 24-10 in a game that maybe could have been the ACC conference championship game preseason, and now it's laughable. Here's the question. It's funny. I'm going to ask it this way, and then somebody's going to laugh at it. Is there any hope in all of God's green goodness that we could have more than one ACC team in this year's CFP?
No.
Do you want me to reply?
I just wanted
Things
to see
aren't looking good.
Response y'all had.
No is the absolute unequivocal answer.
They might not even get one.
We shouldn't. We probably should not have one. Here's where things sit right now. There are 5 one-loss teams: Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, SMU, Duke, which, guys, that means that there is no Clemson, no Miami, no Louisville, no Florida State that we're looking at even making the championship game, much less being our representative. So let me ask you this way. Is there any hope that either of the 2 loss teams, Miami and Louisville, will jump one of those 1-loss teams? But that would mean that 4 of the 5 1-loss teams have to lose again.
Never say never if the season has taught us anything so far at this point, that someone could backdoor their way into this thing with given how the ACC's been.
That's a fair statement, to be really honest. It might be the most true statement we hear all night.
I got a question. Is there anyone in the ACC who you think can win a national championship?
This year?
Yeah.
No.
Hell no.
No.
We're talking football, right? This is still football.
I'm just glad we can all laugh at the futility of this conference this year. I love how we could sit here and complain about how there's anti-ACC bias and everything like that, but the reality is that this conference just isn't good right now. It's just not good. There are no good teams in this league, and by good teams I mean anyone who has a remote possibility of winning a national championship. There's not even a team you can make the case that, if it breaks right, they could maybe make the semifinal. No. All these whoever is lucky enough to get the one bid from the ACC, and I say lucky because I don't know if they would actually get the bid, because remember, you're not guaranteed a bid just because you win your conference. It's the best 5 it's the best 5 conference champions. It doesn't mean you have to be a Power 4 conference just to get in. But the team that gets in is going to get slaughtered. That's just what's going to happen in all likelihood. They're going to go in there. They're going to be what? The 12 seed because they'll
11. It'll be the 11 because
be
whoever
11
the
or
group
12, whatever it is, and they'll get to play, how about Georgia? Okay,
Georgia.
cool.
That doesn't sound fun.
That's going to be awesome to talk about. This conference is bad.
You know what's
Georgia-
crazy?
Georgia
What's
against
crazy?
Virginia?
Go ahead.
Georgia against Virginia. You're not excited about that, Jackson?
I mean,
I'm honestly
hang on,
concerned for the health
legitimately,
and well-being
Brian,
of all the Virginia
Brian,
players going into that game.
you just said it, Brian. Virginia at Georgia in Athens. What is the line of that game? Like that tells us how many, like 14 minus 14. Like what's the line of that
14?
game?
Oh, no.
34.
No, not 34. 17, 18.
Yeah, I mean, legit,
Yeah.
3 possessions is the line in that game.
100%. Sanford Stadium will be litty.
Yeah.
In that
Grayson,
place.
what were you about to say?
The longer I sit here and look at it, I don't know if the ACC will end up getting a team because we know that Duke has a pretty favorable path to get to the conference championship. If they win that and get the auto bid, I'm not sure they're going to be ranked higher than, let's say, a USF if they go on to win the American because they're currently, 24th right now? If they keep winning, they're going to be ahead of Duke.
But then there would have to be a 6th conference that would get ahead of the ACC champ would have to be 6th to not get in. Right? Does that make sense?
The fact that I'm bringing this up is in
Yes,
fact a problem.
Duke has 4 losses, and one of those is to UConn.
Yeah.
They got blown out by Illinois. I know people will say, well, it wasn't as bad as the story indicates, but the reality is the score is 45-19.
5 turnovers.
Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got, of these 5 one-loss schools, Georgia Tech has at Boston College and then hosting Pitt. Virginia is at Duke hosting Virginia Tech. Pitt is at Georgia Tech hosting Miami. That doesn't seem hopeful for Pitt. SMU hosts Louisville and then is at Cal. Duke hosts Virginia, is at North Carolina, and then hosts Wake. Of those 5, do you think that 2 can come out still having just 1 loss?
Do you trust anybody in this league? This is a really easy question, folks.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, I think everybody will have 2 losses walking in, if not 3, into the title. If Miami somehow found their way into the title game still, would it surprise any of us?
And they could. So Miami and Louisville are the 2 loss teams. Miami still has NC State, at Virginia Tech, and at Pitt. That's their remaining schedule.
They'll find a way to blow it.
If the Pitt game, I'm just going to go ahead and call this because I've lived in Florida. If that game is cold and snowy and wet, South Florida kids ain't playing ball there. That ain't going to work. But if it's a dry track, no, seriously,
I know, you're right.
Now they'll be in parkas before they get on the plane. So that's my only concern for them there. But Pitt, they got Notre Dame this week and they're going to be beat up. Then they got Tech and Miami. That kind of eliminates them. They'll be too beat up. I don't know if nothing against JJ here, but Duke, that team is it's civil. It is dysfunctional in so many different ways.
JJ, what's your response to that? You see it every week.
It was so disheartening to drop the UConn game in the manner in which that they did when the offense has been so great throughout the course of the season, but in the losses, it's been costly turnovers from Darian Mensah, who's, again, he's been awesome. It's just you can't have as many turnovers and keep trying to find ways to win games like that. So, I'm of the teams that are out there, it feels good to still have a chance mathematically. But also, as you just listed, Isaac, so many of these teams that are still in the hunt only have 2 ACC games left because they either have a bye week still to come or they've got their rivalry game out of conference. Whereas Duke still has to go unbeaten in 3 conference games, knowing how crazy the ACC has been this year.
And we'll talk specifically more about the Duke-Virginia game coming up, so let's hang on to that. But, JJ, you make a great point. The more games you got to play, as unpredictable as these teams are, there you go. So, Grayson, let me ask you this question. It's ACC Championship Saturday. The 2 opponents in that game have a total of how many ACC losses? 2, 3, or 4? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
I'm going to say 3. I think
So
somebody's
you think
going to have
we
one,
will have
the
the
other
2
will have
loss?
2.
Okay. So you think we will have at least 1 2-loss team in the ACC Championship game?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Jackson, you agree?
I agree. It's just too cluttered right now. It's hard to envision that two teams are going to walk away from this with only one conference loss.
No.
It's either going to be 3 or 4.
Oh,
And 4 of the 5 have a game against one of the other one-loss teams. The only one that doesn't is SMU, but they host Louisville and then have to travel out to Cal. And so it's just, man, it's tough to know, boys.
I mean, do you trust SMU?
No.
Yeah, they lost to Wake Forest. I know they beat
scored
Miami, and then you
12
lose to Wake Forest. It's just like,
not only they lose, brother, they scored 12. That's not good.
this is
North
the Pac
Carolina has scored
Conference.
more than that 3 games in a row at this point.
That right there disqualifies all kinds of things. But by the way, I know we'll get into it later. I'm curious if anybody's heard anything on Chandler Morris in regards to his health, and anybody that has any quarterback injury stuff. We need to talk about that.
We got quarterback injuries.
Okay.
Yeah, Syracuse is struggling with that right now. Well, let's
Out of
get
all
into
the bad
it then.
teams in the bad conference, we might be the worst. We're terrible.
All right,
Yeah.
then we got to look ahead to this weekend where we've got a Clemson at Louisville game that a lot of us on this show preseason predicted would be the ACC championship opponents. And it's just now a random Friday night game. But the big game of the weekend is somehow Virginia at Duke. So we'll get to that and much more to get ready for this weekend coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, y'all, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game, or maybe you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to who's going to make a big comeback late in the game. Plus, you can combine all of those live bets into one same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. All of that, man, it keeps every game exciting because you got something riding on it. Like, am I going to win or not? I mentioned a couple of those upcoming games. Tomorrow, Louisville at home against Clemson, 2.5-point favorites. And then Saturday, Duke at home against Virginia. The Blue Devils, 6.5-point favorites against the previously ACC undefeated Cavs, at least in games that actually counted for the conference standings. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back into this week's episode of Locked On ACC Squad Show, your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the world. You're listening to the ACC, which is not the #1 conference in the world. I can tell you that. We, from a football standpoint, are maybe 5th or 6th, hopefully, right now. Let's look to tomorrow night's game, Clemson at Louisville, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, or something else for those of us who still have YouTube TV. This is a game that preseason, multiple of us picked as an ACC championship game. But now it's a whatever game on Friday night, although Louisville, even with that loss, sitting as one of our 2-loss teams in the ACC. Brian Smith, as you look at the makeup of this game, it's funny to ask it this way, but can Clemson play spoiler to the Cardinals?
Well, their defense and their front's starting to play a little better. You can ask Florida State, who, they shot themselves in the foot about 125 times in the first half of that game last week. But they're not going to be easy to move the ball on. And right now, Louisville's quarterback, man, like outside of, no offense to Jackson over here, outside of Syracuse, you might have the least trustworthy quarterback in the league in a clutch moment, and then that's the guy at Louisville. So if they don't protect better than I expect, because Louisville's biggest Achilles heel is the offensive line, I like Clemson. And I think they'll win by double digits because I don't think they'll be able to block them.
Grayson, what do you make of it?
I don't think I've ever been less sure of a potential outcome of a game. I mean, Clemson, what the hell do you look at this point? They're 4-5. Maybe they're playing better now, but like Clemson is 4-5. Clemson, okay?
Right.
Louisville, now, Isaac, you posed the question, can Clemson spoil Louisville? Louisville's already spoiled. So there's that. So like, does Louisville have to get up for this game? I don't really know. Like, how do they respond to losing to Cal? Because that was your season ahead of you and you let that get away. So Yeah, this is most certainly a football game. It will be played on Friday night. I think that's all I got for now.
But Grayson, the reason I pose it that way is Louisville is one of our 2 lost teams. There are some things that could break where they still make the ACC championship game.
They don't deserve it though. They blew it.
No, I agree.
That's how we all feel right now.
Nobody deserves it.
Grayson is you're preaching to the choir right now. It's like, okay, sure, Louisville, go ahead. Beat Clemson. Clemson isn't good. They're 4-5. Like we've given Clemson enough chances here on this show to actually be something this year.
Yeah.
They're nothing. They're 4-5. They're done. They have to. They're fighting to just make a bowl this season. To make
Dabo has to talk about refs to become relevant for Clemson to be relevant right now, right? Like,
you lost to Duke, and we're talking about the refs. The refs, you lost to Duke. Duke just lost to UConn. Like, who's going to win this game? Okay, fine. They're at home. I'll go with Louisville. Oh, wait. Last week they were at home. They lost to Cal. So who's going to win? No clue. No clue. I don't have a pick.
okay, well, speaking of those Duke, go ahead, JJ. You were about to say something.
I was just the more I think about this, I think I'm in the, you asked Grayson earlier, 2 losses, 3 losses, 4 losses, whatever. And all week I've been thinking about all of the various tiebreaker scenarios and how difficult of a decision this could get down to. At this point, just let everybody have 2 losses to make tiebreakers even more impossible to figure out, because that's honestly what this ACC season deserves.
Flip a coin.
We're getting very close to like a tribal council situation here.
Yeah.
It's like the Friday Night Lights movie, right? Remember they go to that diner because there's 3 teams and they flip a coin to see who's going to, man, it's crazy. Okay, JJ, I'm coming right back to you because the game of the week in the ACC, as we all expected it to be for week 12 or whatever this is Virginia at Duke. These are 2 of our 5 one-loss schools. So one of them, guys, I don't know if you know how math works. One of these schools is now going to have 2 losses in the ACC. It's the wildest thing. JJ, this game is at home for you, 3:30 Eastern on Saturday, ESPN2. I just said it, Duke favored at FanDuel by 6.5. What do the Blue Devils have to do to bounce back from losing to Dan Hurley, Alex Caravan, and UConn?
No, that was absolutely. I think looking at this game in particular for Duke, quarterback play is obviously got to improve, which is crazy that you're saying that when you're talking about Darius Mensah, who's been atop the country in passing yards per game for the entire season. But the bottom line is this year, when Duke has protected the football, nobody has stopped them. This offense has racked up yards getting up and down the field. And Brian pointed it out a little bit earlier. There is a major question at the quarterback spot on the opposite sideline with Chandler Morris, the Virginia quarterback, who did not practice early in the week. We will see how that progresses throughout the course of the week. Tony Elliott is not even labeling this a concussion. It's just an upper body issue is what they're labeling it there at Virginia. But it was so clear in the tackle that was made. Duke did not look too good after that play played out. So certainly that's going to be a big indicator into how successful I think that Virginia will be able to be in this game.
Okay. Look, here's the other thing. Of the rest of our one-loss teams in the ACC, only one of the others is playing an ACC game, and that's Georgia Tech at Boston College. Let's just can we just, well, I guess we shouldn't assume it's going to be a victory, but please, dear goodness, Georgia Tech, I'm looking at you dead in the eyes, Brett Key. Do not lose this football game. Okay. The other thing is Pittsburgh is going out of conference, hosting Notre Dame. You know, Notre Dame plays an ACC slate. Pitt, let's just say, their remaining games are hosting Notre Dame, at Georgia Tech, hosting Miami. If there is some crazy world where Pitt can mess around and go 3-0 in that, they're in the ACC championship game and have done something, notably by beating Notre Dame at home. But here's my question to you, Jackson Holzer. Is that laughable that I would even suggest that might happen this Sunday at what I still call Three Rivers Stadium?
Yes and no. They're not going to beat Notre Dame. That's the problem.
Well,
I mean, they're already giving it up. They're already giving up on Notre Dame. Pat Narduzzi already in his press conference is giving up on Notre Dame. He just doesn't care. He's asked, "Do you care about the game?" No, I don't care. It's not a conference game. They're probably going to play all backups. You might as well. It doesn't matter. You don't want to get anyone hurt. You're already going to get beat up anyway from Notre Dame. They're probably going to kill you up front. So I don't think they're going to beat Notre Dame. Can they beat Georgia Tech on the road? They can beat Georgia Tech on the road. Can they beat Miami at home? Absolutely. Miami is not good. Oh my goodness. How are they ranked number 2 in the country at one point? They are not good at all. Did you see the first half of the game against Syracuse? They were lifeless. If they were playing any college football team with a pulse, they would have lost that game. Totally would have lost that game. They wouldn't have even been competitive with the way that they started out. They were brutal. But, you're going up against Ricky Collins, so you get to be brutal for 2 quarters, and you could still be 0-0. Miami's not good at all. So if you want to sit here and say, yeah, Pitt can go on the road and beat Georgia Tech, of course. I'm not a believer in Georgia Tech. I don't believe in anyone in the ACC. Could they beat Miami? Yeah. Are they going to beat Notre Dame, who ironically lost to Miami? Probably not. They're not going to beat Notre Dame.
I think they'll beat one of Georgia Tech or Miami.
You do?
I don't like
Which is more likely to you, Brian? Which is more likely to you?
I would say that the Georgia Tech game, because Georgia Tech doesn't have the defensive players to put up with the physicality that Pitt plays with, and their running backs catch the ball well, and that quarterback, I know he's a true freshman. That guy just makes weird plays that don't even make any logical sense. He's good, man. Like, that kid's eventually going to get paid to play football, and I ain't talking about NIL. So Georgia Tech will probably get smoked by them if I was to guess defensively. They'll score. Pittsburgh's defense will give up some plays, but I think they'll go. I think that right now I'll go ahead and call. I think Pitt will go to Georgia Tech and win.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I actually predicted that on last week's show. I do think that Pitt is going to beat Georgia Tech. But real quickly on Narduzzi, what he said, he's right. I mean, he is
right.
He's right. However, you can't say that because now, how do you approach this game? Everyone knows that you don't care about the outcome. Do you even bother playing Mason Heinschel? Do you just go out with Holstein? I don't think it's a bad idea per se, because if your goal is to make it the ACC championship, going full throttle against a Notre Dame team that has to go full throttle, by the way, Notre Dame cannot afford to mess around and lose this game, so they will be going 100 miles an hour at you. How does Pitt manage this game? I think that's a massive question in my mind.
I think it was he's just playing reverse psychology on Marcus Freeman. He's like, I'm going to get Notre Dame to relax and not do anything, and then we're going to come guns blazing.
No, not going to work. That's not going to, no.
Hey, quickly, Grayson, while you're talking, before we move to our final segment, the other 2-loss team is in action. And you guys, the NC State Wolfpack, are traveling down to Coral Gables this weekend. Can NC State give Miami their 3rd ACC loss? Grayson, what do you see?
Because I think Miami kind of stinks, I'll say they can. NC State can win this game. Do I think they will? Probably not. I mean, it is a homecoming game for CJ Bailey, so maybe you get some kind of bump out of that. They're coming out of a bye, so they've had some extra time to get some guys back healthy. Hollywood Smothers and Justin Jolie, to name a few. They got their guys back if they can keep, relatively the same game plan against Georgia Tech, where basically a race to 50. If you can go out and try and put 50 on Miami, maybe you got a shot. But I think Miami's defense will pose a different task than Georgia Tech's did. So I think Miami's going to end up winning that game.
This is an audition game for CJ Bailey.
And
Miami fans know exactly what I'm saying.
The people are saying this.
This is an audition game. CJ Bailey goes out there, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, leads NC State to a win. Someone in Miami is going to be calling in January.
You may hear people complain about that. I will not be one of them. I will be happy.
Interesting. Grayson Boone.
You want him gone?
No, I want to win this football game. That's all.
Oh, you just okay.
Next year, brother. I want to win this game.
You want to worry about the future in the future. You just want to win the game. Okay,
I'm going 1-0. What you were saying. I have one game ahead of me this weekend. I'm trying to go 1-0.
Grayson's playing for now. Mario Cristobal is playing 4D chess, where he's like, boys, we're going to tank this game so we can get CJ Bailey next year. That's what's happening here. SMU, the other 1-loss team, is idle this weekend. By the way, Rhett Lashley, their head coach, is going to be in studio for this week's college football kickoff. So make sure you check that out on Fire TV. Boys, we got to talk some hoops because the nation has been taken storm by this incredible crop of freshmen, and the ACC is a massive part of that. We'll get you up to speed, and I want to ask the guys, how many of those freshmen are going to make the ACC teams in the postseason? We'll get to that to wrap the show in just a second. Right after I tell you about Supply House, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts fast for a project? No worries. Supply House has next-day delivery. Man, talk about a game changer. They've got part finder tools and 3D schematics that can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Plus, their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. One of the early storylines in college basketball this year is the dynamic impact that freshmen are having on the landscape. And you guys, the ACC is no stranger to that reality. I'll just name off a couple of them that are already dropping it. By the way, look at Jackson Holzer, Johnny on the spot, changing his background to what is still the Carrier Dome, AKA fine, whatever, JMA or wireless thing. Cam Boozer at Duke, Caleb Wilson at North Carolina, Mikael Brown Jr. at Louisville, Neo Avdilas at Virginia Tech. Wilson and Avdilas, by the way, co-ACC Players of the Week. Mo Silla down in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. Shelton Henderson at Miami. Matt Abel in Raleigh with Grayson Boone. Kyan Anthony up at Syracuse, Tyster Ritter at Virginia, Jalen Harrelson at Notre Dame, Ebuka Okori at Stanford, who is the third leading scorer in the nation right now. And that's not even mentioning all the rest of the dudes on Duke's stable of players. You guys, here's my question to you. Jackson, I'm actually going to start with you since you've got Carmelo's offspring happening up there in Syracuse. How many freshmen are going to take up one of the 15 slots on the 3 All-ACC postseason teams?
I think at least 5. I think so. That's a lot. You're already at 5. Yeah, I think 5.
Grayson, is that because you think it'll be more or less?
I'm going to go a little bit less. I'll say like 3.
That was my take as well.
3, Brian?
Yeah, I just think a lot of kids like Boozer, I've seen play live. Like I've been around him. That is lock, stock.
Oh, yeah,
barrel.
that makes sense. Down in Florida, yeah.
I went and I've met him. Like that's first team all ACC, one and done. Yeah. Screw you guys, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards. But not many kids are built mentally like he is, as well as physically. How many of those guys are going to be good in February, right before the ACC tournament and all that? I could see a few guys coming close, but I'll agree with Grayson. I think 3 is more likely.
Jay?
I'd probably lean closer to 5 than 3, just given how talented this group is. But then, the more I think about it, it's like, man, I'm cutting down the number of spots for the great experienced players that you've got in this conference as a whole, and a lot of guys that are going to make big-time plays for their team this year. But, someone like Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson at North Carolina, Mikael Brown, those are absolute locks. What the kid's been doing at Virginia Tech, Isaac, you hammered the pronunciation there, which was remarkable. He's been awesome to watch this season. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's on it at the end of the year. And yeah, it just takes another one to kind of make the list there. So I'm actually going to lean more towards that 5 number than 3.
Yeah, I mean, of the 15,
so like
if you're giving me over
4. Split the difference.
Like 4, yeah. Thank you, Grayson.
Yeah, I mean, because you start thinking about the other players that are likely to make this list, like a Marcus Burton at Notre Dame, for example, right? Like they're going to be on there. But when we talk about 15 slots, and like it's not just that these freshmen are talented, it's how high level and impactful they already actually are for their teams. I'm going to take the over on 5. Now, I mean, we're not going to blow past it, but I legit think it could be 6 or 7 of those 15 slots when you start to look at the entire impact of all these dudes. I mean, it is something pretty crazy to behold right now. That said, yeah, JJ, I think the 3 names you said are probably the obvious ones with Avdilas. It's those 4. And then beyond that, you just need 2 others to pop, and then you've really got something going. Now, it's interesting, though, fellas, because it feels like lately, we had Cooper Flagg, obviously was the conference player of the year last year, but both in the ACC and nationally, it's been dominated lately by more senior laden or upperclassmen laden teams. However, we're now past that COVID eligibility, and maybe the freshmen are going to start having more of an impact. And there's something to that. Grayson is asking in our chat, sorry, just behind the scenes, everybody, if somebody's glitching, it might be me. Are others of you experiencing a glitch as well?
I'm good right now. Yeah,
I'm good.
Okay, perfect. We keep on trucking. Welcome behind the scenes, everybody. So, as you look at that, it's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out. Jackson, I want to come to you because with Carmelo Anthony being like a living legend in this league, how big an impact do you think as we think about the freshmen versus the upperclassmen, and as you look at, say, him compared to a JJ Starling, what level of impact will Anthony have for this Orange team?
Through 2 games, he looks like a top 3 player on the team already. And I'm not trying to disrespect the other players on Syracuse. I think that's just how good Cayenne looks right now already. And I'm pleasantly surprised because I knew going in that he was a good scorer. Like, that's what he was built up to be. He's going to come into college basketball and he's going to score. But you look at where he's ranked and it's like, okay, he's around the 30s. Okay, so is he going to pop right away, or is this more going to be like he's going to pop in year 2? He's good right away. The kid can do basically anything on the offensive end already. Like, he does need to get bigger. He does need to get stronger. He's still young. We get all of that. It's only been 2 games against mediocre competition at best. Not mediocre competition. I'm being nice there. Lower mid-major teams. But he looks like a top 3 player on the team already. JJ Starling is out right now with an injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out for.
Right.
I feel perfectly confident with Carmelo Anthony right now as the starting 2 guard. It's like they're not missing it. They didn't miss a beat in the last game. They didn't miss a beat in the season opener without JJ Starling. So Cayenne looks great, and it's not just because his last name is Anthony. Like, he's legitimately a really good basketball player already.
JJ, for your school and for my school, I think they are going to both be led by freshmen. Cam Boozer should be by all sorts of metrics Duke's best player. Same for Caleb Wilson at North Carolina. But elsewhere in the triangle, Grayson, it's an interesting thing there because I think Matt Abel is a massive contributor for this team, but I don't think we project him to be the best player or the leading scorer on this team, right? Like, that's probably Darion Williams, for example. How do you see Abel's role fitting into what's going on with this team?
Man, it's only been 2 games, but he's been giving us a lot, not just in scoring, but Matt Abel, the true freshman, is our 2nd leading rebounder, which is crazy. He's like 6'2", 6'3". He's a guard, 2nd leading rebounder. I know it's only 2 games, but he's been able to do so much outside of just being a pure scorer, which he is, but he can get on the glass. He can assist pretty well as well. He's averaging 3 of those a game. He takes care of the basketball. He's just been a jolt of life into the lineup anytime he comes off the bench. I think that if he can finish somewhere around, I don't know, like 8 to 9 points a game, that's going to raise the floor and the ceiling of this Will Wade bunch. And we're talking about everyone else. The freshmen that he recruited might just be one of the most integral parts of this roster.
Man, that's so interesting. Speaking of freshmen, JJ, let's forecast ahead to next week because one of the premier highlights of the early part of the season is the Champions Classic. Each year includes Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and Michigan State. This year, it will feature your dynamic freshman Cam Boozer against who many project to be the number 1 player in the NBA draft next year, or certainly the 2 of them are, both top 3 in the draft, and that's Darren Peterson. We saw Darren Peterson in Kansas play North Carolina last week. JJ, we're going to get to see that matchup with another Tobacco Road team. What do you project ahead of this Kansas-Duke game next Tuesday?
A whole lot of highlights. First and foremost, when you think about the star power that's on the floor playing in Madison Square Garden, Darren Peterson has been so much fun to watch for Kansas. I know that's not in our ACC equation, but like you said, he's one of the top players in the entire country. And Cam Boozer, in his debut against Texas, finished with 15 points and 13 rebounds, a double-double to start his college career. And you were underwhelmed because in exhibition wins against Tennessee and UCF, power conference opponents. Cam Boozer averaged 28-17. I mean, he's putting up video game numbers so far to this point. I don't see anyone out there really stopping him or slowing him down in any ways. I think we're going to see a dynamic game being played out.
All right. Going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see it. And by the way, it's been great to see the ACC in totality off to a better start this year. As we record, the only ACC loss is Boston College. So come on, Eagles, what are you doing? But it's just feeling much better than it was last year, but still a lot of room the ACC has to grow. We'll obviously keep our eyes on that as the season goes. Great to be together today for the ACC Squad Show. Again, make sure you check out Jackson Holzer on Locked On Syracuse, Brian Smith on Locked On Seminoles, JJ Jackson on Locked On Blue Devils, Grayson Boone and Kent Gibbs on Locked On Wolfpack, and all the rest of the stable of ACC shows, as well as mine, Locked On Tar Heels. Great to be together. We'll do it all over again next week. Hopefully, Dono will be back, unless the Wolfpack go down there and take care of business, and then he might just stay away for another week. We'll see what happens there. This has been the Locked On ACC show. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Your team every day. We'll see you next week. Peace.